Gregory Whitman's palm snapped across Malcolm Pierce's cheek with a crack that cut through the hush of Lux Atelier like a starter's pistol at a race. "You don't belong here, boy," Gregory hissed, loud enough for silk-draped mannequins and white-marbled walls to echo the words. "This isn't some clearance warehouse." Every head inside the flagship boutique on Manhattan's Madison Avenue jerked toward the confrontation. Customers paused mid-swipe of platinum cards. Sales associates froze, clutching steaming cappuccinos meant for preferred clients. Malcolm Pierce, tall, poised, afro sprinkled with dignified gray, did not falter. He lifted one broad hand, wiped the sting from his jaw, and answered the sneer with a smile so faint, so unsettlingly calm, that Gregory felt an electric shiver race down his spine. 7 hours earlier, no one in Lux Atelier could have guessed the man now being manhandled was its majority shareholder, worth $3.1 billion and counting. Malcolm had slipped through the revolving glass doors that morning dressed in broken-in chinos, a vintage leather bomber, and trainers scrubbed clean but clearly lived in. He drove himself in a decade-old Acura, having instructed his usual driver to take the day off. The anonymity was deliberate. 3 anonymous emails about Store 001, this very flagship, had landed in his private inbox during the past month. Racial profiling, hostile culture, toxic management. Malcolm wanted truth unfiltered by stage tours or nervous managers. Back in college, when he sold thrift shop neckties from a card table to pay tuition, shopkeepers called security on him more than once. His mother had been ejected from a bridal salon the week before Malcolm's law school graduation because she looked like the help. Malcolm vowed that if he ever had power, he would build doors no gatekeeper could slam in another person's face. Today he was the power, and Gregory Whitman had just swung the door. No, hurled it. In Malcolm's face, Gregory, 45, wore bespoke navy suits so tight they creased when he breathed and Italian shoes he polished obsessively. Raised in a Rust Belt mill town, he clawed from stockroom temp to store manager in 13 years and prided himself on protecting the brand. The brand, to Gregory, meant excluding anyone who threatened Lux Atelier's image of unblemished privilege. He referred to his doctrine as elite integrity, though those beneath him whispered another phrase, Greg's paper ceiling. His disciples formed a tidy pyramid. At the sales desk stood Lauren Vega, 30, Latina, single mother of 2 asthmatic twins, praying every day Gregory's favor wouldn't evaporate. Near her hovered Peter Zhang, 38, assistant manager groomed by Gregory to be next in command. Behind a fragrance display lingered Camille Brown, 22, cashier fresh from a community college fashion certificate, who believed Gregory's every rule came straight from retail scripture. Then there was Victoria Hawthorne, 70, a Fifth Avenue doyen dressed head to toe in pearls and prejudice, Lux Atelier's wealthiest regular, and Gregory's self-appointed social enforcer. Last came Isaiah Turner, 29, security guard ex-military, who considered Gregory's word field orders. At 11 a.m., Gregory first clocked Malcolm. To him the scuffed bomber jacket read, time waster, not tycoon. Gregory strode over sporting his customer service grin, the smile that said, I'm about to call you out while pretending I'm helping. Morning, sir. Looking for our outlet store? It's across the river in Jersey City. Malcolm glanced up from a lacquered mahogany watch case. Actually, I'm interested in this tourbillon. Gregory let out a soft chuckle. That piece is one of 50 worldwide. Lists at $122,000. We keep more entry-level selections in Soho. Malcolm's reply was mild. Price isn't my first concern. Craftsmanship is. That should have ended it. Except Gregory needed an audience. Victoria Hawthorne glided over, hungry for spectacle. Gregory raised his volume, so she and nearby shoppers heard every syllable. I'm only trying to save you the embarrassment of a declined card, friend. We require a minimum 5-figure purchase history to even handle that watch. Malcolm studied Gregory's face. Company policy? Gregory nodded, lying effortlessly. Victoria tut-tutted with theatrical sympathy. A man from Hedge Fund Row chuckled behind a hand-stitched glove. Malcolm's gaze drifted to a charcoal cashmere trench displayed on a headless mannequin. May I try that coat? Gregory seized the new weapon gleefully. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, our friend would like to model the $15,000 Saint Laurent couture trench. Head swiveled. Phones lifted. The hush before a feeding frenzy settled over the boutique. Peter Zhang materialized beside his mentor, chest puffed. Gregory enforces standards so the rest of us don't have to, he assured a cluster of banking spouses. Lauren Vega gripped her register till her knuckles blanched. She needed Gregory's approval almost as much as oxygen. Camille Brown, starry-eyed, murmured, I adore how Mr. Whitman protects the environment. She meant social environment, of course. Gregory led Malcolm to the fitting lounge, but paused theatrically at the velvet rope. Before we enter, I'll need to pre-authorize your Amex for twice the garment value. House rule. He waited for Malcolm to fumble or protest. Malcolm produced a slim wallet. The leather was cracked at the corners, a badge of years, not pennies. Inside lay a debit card from a modest community bank, a driver's license, a vintage photo of a little girl in pigtails, his late sister, gone to asthma when medical bills crushed their family, and a single platinum Centurion card bearing his initials. When Malcolm extended the Centurion, Gregory barely glanced before waving it off. Debit only, sir. Those prepaid gimmicks rarely clear our system. The lie earned snickers from onlookers. Victoria clapped delicate hands. Can't blame him for dreaming, she said to no one and everyone. Malcolm slid the card back, his face unreadable. Then perhaps I'll examine the luggage line. Gregory blocked his path. Sir, you've consumed enough staff time. Kindly exit before we involve security. Malcolm's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in calculation. He stepped around Gregory toward a suede travel duffel. Peter Zhang shifted, ready to intercept. Gregory shot Isaiah the security signal, 2 taps to temple. Isaiah approached, broad shoulders parting shoppers like curtains. Lauren, behind the counter, bit her lip till it bled. She pictured her twins' inhalers, the rent due next week. Her silence tasted metallic. Gregory cleared his throat, ready for the kill. Last chance to respect yourself and leave quietly. Malcolm reached for the duffel's brass zipper. In a single motion, Gregory grabbed Malcolm's wrist and thrust it away. Then the manager's open palm arced and landed, the slap that started our story. Silence. Then the collective inhale of an audience acknowledging live theater. Gregory turned to the gathering, arms wide. This is Luxe Atelier, not a curiosity museum. Let's toast real clientele. He signaled Peter. Champagne flutes surfaced from a mini fridge in the back office. 2012 Cristal float. The mob cheered. Victoria raised her glass. A young influencer framed the scene for Instagram, caption already forming, gatekeeping at its finest. While bubbles fizzed, Malcolm stood still, fingertips grazing the tender spot on his cheek. The smile that followed was small, almost pitying. He looked at his phone, not to record, that had begun minutes ago tucked in his breast pocket, but to call a number labeled Emergency Ops. Outside on the sidewalk, Malcolm spoke softly while Gregory, inside, continued receiving ovation. Alma, he said to the voice on the line. Assemble rapid response. Store 001. Full package, legal, HR, security, board. A pause. Yes. Bring the deeds. 11 minutes later, 3 midnight black Escalades coasted to the curb. From them emerged Alma Dupree, Chief Operating Officer, Felix Monroe, General Counsel, Ruth Blanchard, SVP of Human Capital, and 2 corporate security directors. They swept past pedestrians who mistook them for diplomats. Malcolm watched them file inside, then followed. Champagne chatter dimmed as the entourage entered. Gregory, seeing suits that screamed authority, unlocked his brightest grin. Welcome, friends. You've arrived at a moment worth celebrating. Quality control, uncompromised. He gestured toward Malcolm with disdain. This gentleman was just leaving. Alma Dupree detached a leather portfolio. Mr. Whitman? Her voice had a calm that warned storms. Yes, Gregory Whitman, manager. 12-year steward of Luxe Atelier standards. Felix Monroe adjusted silver-rimmed glasses. Stewardship is precisely what we're here to discuss. Peter Zhang tried to preen beside his mentor. We can vouch. Gregory handled the difficult. Customer, Victoria finished grandly, with the utmost finesse. Ruth Blanchard's gaze swept the room, taking inventory of every gleeful face, every phone still half raised. Difficult, she repeated, as though tasting the word for toxins. And this difficulty warranted physical assault. Gregory scoffed. A light corrective tap. My duty to protect merchandise. Isaiah stiffened, no longer sure which chain of command to obey. Alma turned. Mr. Pierce. Malcolm stepped forward, bomber jacket unzipped to reveal a navy cashmere sweater. No title badge, no security entourage, yet the room's atmosphere shifted as though gravity remembered who generated its pull. Gregory blinked. Why are you addressing him? Felix produced a slim folder, flipped it open, spread documents across the nearest glass display. Company seal, board signatures, transfer dates. Mr. Malcolm E. Pierce, founder and majority owner of Pierce Global Holdings, sole shareholder of Luxe Atelier since the acquisition of Bellwether Boutiques 18 months ago. He looked up. Your employer. The words detonated. Victoria's flute slipped, shattering. Peter gasped so hard his tie clip popped. Camille's phone tumbled from limp fingers. Color drained from Gregory's face, leaving blotches stark against his 5 o'clock shadow. That can't, he drove an Acura. Malcolm's smile this time held no mystery. My mother taught me cars get you from A to B. Character gets you everywhere else. Ruth Blanchard extended a tablet. On screen played high-definition footage, Gregory's taunts, the crowd's chuckles, the slap. Multiple angles courtesy of hidden fisheye lenses Malcolm ordered installed last quarter for asset protection. Each recorded face received its own time-stamped close-up. Enough, Gregory rasped. He tried to snatch the tablet. Alma's eyebrow froze him mid-lunge. Malcolm addressed the room, voice steady as river stone. This morning, I entered my store to learn why complaints of discrimination kept arriving. I encountered a case study. He gestured toward Gregory, then toward those who laughed, toasted, filmed. Elite integrity, I believe, is the phrase. No one spoke. Even shoppers who hadn't jeered felt exposed by proxy. Malcolm continued. Integrity looks different from where I stand. It looks like every child who saved for weeks to buy one silk tie and deserves respect while doing it. It looks like my sister, who never reached adulthood because my family's dignity was dismissed along with insurance claims. His eyes glistened yet stayed hard. And it looks like consequences. Alma read from a prepared sheet that seemed to materialize from air. Effective immediately, Gregory Whitman is terminated for gross misconduct, hate-motivated harassment, and battery. Peter Zhang, demoted and placed on probation with mandatory empathy training. Camille Brown, suspended pending review of conduct. Lauren Vega. Alma paused, eyes softening. Retained with full benefits. Miss Vega's attempts to intervene, though hesitant, were noted. Lauren sagged with relief and shame. To our long-standing client Ms. Hawthorne, Felix added, turning to Victoria, your patronage is no longer welcome at any Luxe Atelier property. Trespass notices will be delivered. Security stepped forward. Gregory's badge, tie, and access card were collected. Isaiah escorted him toward the door he'd ordered Malcolm through minutes earlier, now an exit of disgrace rather than exile. As Gregory passed Malcolm, he murmured, I was only doing my job. Malcolm met his gaze. Then your job needed rewriting. Outside, paparazzi already loitered. Someone had tipped media. Gregory covered his face, but camera shutters stitched his downfall into digital eternity. Back inside, Alma instructed staff to seat guests in the cafe lounge. Complimentary beverages while we recalibrate. The phrase sounded gentle. It was evacuation disguised as courtesy. Shoppers filed out. Designer heels scuffing marble now sullied by spilled crystal and shattered illusions. When only corporate, staff, and a trembling handful of stunned onlookers remained, Malcolm walked the perimeter. He paused beside the charcoal trench. Quality shouldn't be weaponized, he said, almost to the coat. Then he faced his employees. I built this company to celebrate craftsmanship accessible to anyone who admires it. We cannot pretend luxury and humanity are incompatible. He pointed toward the exit where Gregory had disappeared. That contradiction walked out this afternoon. Peter Zhang swallowed audibly. Sir, I will help me rebuild, Malcolm finished. Or you will resign. Decide by tomorrow. Camille burst into tears. I didn't know it was wrong. They told me it was protocol. Malcolm's voice softened. If our protocol teaches cruelty, we will burn it and write better. Lauren stepped forward. I wanted to speak up. Fear kept me quiet. That's no excuse. It's a beginning, Malcolm replied. You speak now. By 6 p.m. Press alerts blazed. Billionaire owner assaulted in own flagship. Manager fired on the spot. Social feeds swarmed with clips of Gregory's speech. The slap, the champagne toast. Smartphone angles multiplied like a hall of mirrors reflecting humiliation. Yet a subplot emerged that few expected. Malcolm posted a statement. Asterisk, I will not pursue criminal charges. I choose instead to invest in education. Luxe Atelier will fund a $10 million scholarship for retail workers seeking leadership training that centers dignity above status. Comment sections erupted. Amazement, cynicism, awe. Some called it magnanimous. Others, strategic genius. Malcolm ignored noise and set meetings with DI architects. 2 weeks later, the Madison Avenue store reopened under new management. Lauren Vega, promoted after presenting a plan for inclusive client outreach. Isaiah, now head of guest experience, greeted patrons with a refined warmth he once reserved only for certain tiers. Camille curated community workshops on sustainable fashion. Peter elected to resign, unable to face a mirror polished by accountability. And Gregory? Paparazzi photos sold for a week then vanished. He sued for wrongful termination, withdrew when video evidence surfaced in Discovery, accepted a settlement rumored to be less than a single month of his old salary, and faded into LinkedIn purgatory. Victoria retreated to Palm Beach, her pearls heavier than ever. On a rainy Tuesday the following spring, a teenage boy entered Luxe Atelier wearing weather-beaten sneakers and hope in his eyes. He asked Lauren if the store carried wallets under $50. His mother's birthday was near. Lauren guided him to a modest Italian calfskin line Malcolm insisted be stocked alongside couture. She offered free monogramming on the house. From a mezzanine balcony, Malcolm watched, unseen, a quiet smile on his face. No calculated grin this time. Just genuine satisfaction that a door once slammed had opened wide and stayed that way. He turned, hands clasped behind him, gazing at the city that had tried to measure worth by fabrics and pedigrees. Let them measure. He had replaced their ruler with something far less fragile. Respect, wielded not as gate, but as bridge. And bridges, as any architect knows, invite traffic from both directions, rich toward humility, and everyone else toward possibility.